for giving that context. I admit I hadn't heard of your company when you reached out, but it sounded like you've worked with a lot of the folks that I admire in the industry who do content marketing for companies large and small. So I'm totally happy to talk to you. My background is I think a little bit unusual, or maybe just not a straight line to a marketing role, but I am a marketer, content strategist, and a creative strategist. And really, I'm interested in a lot of things. You know, I studied art history in college. I didn't study marketing or communications per se, but I'm really interested in research and finding interesting ways to tell stories, especially about creatives and creative people, creative processes, and how kind of our culture is shaped by different events and different people. So I kind of take that mixture of design and arts education, that interest in narrative and research, as well as psychology and technology. And I work on strategic planning of marketing, content, brand journalism. I've also worked in technology, product design, and brand strategy and user experience in the course of my career. Right now, I'm a senior content marketing manager for Adobe, working on the Adobe Stock team. So Adobe Stock is the stock content marketplace that's part of Creative Cloud. It's integrated within Adobe Creative Cloud. Oh, that's a really good question. That's a really big question. I think it depends more on who you talk to, and there have been, in my experience, for a long time, folks who really get content marketing and who see that content is essentially just, it can describe a lot of things, right? And I think for some people who don't necessarily understand content marketing, they think of like, oh, it's blog posts, or oh, it's SEO. But those are just aspects of it, right? Content marketing isn't advertising, and it's not blog posts. Content marketing is really an approach around creating relevant content that's going to be valuable to a clearly defined audience, right? So like, you have to understand what your strategy is, who it is that you're talking to, and what it is that they want, and then create the content and choose the tactics that are going to drive the action you want to see. So whether or not that is a purchase, or whether or not that is like moving somebody down a particular marketing funnel, it's really not about the specific tactic, but rather about the approach and kind of that strategic thinking and framework around it. And so I think what a lot of people think of as content, they think of as just individual tactics. And what I've seen over the course of my career is sort of this expansion of understanding within marketing and business of like how powerful content marketing as a strategic marketing approach can be, because it's more than just tactics. And when you look at how brands have kind of adopted this and changed, what I see more often is really tied to a larger trend in the market of how brands are embracing the need to be really authentic and connect more authentically with their audiences. And this is something we talk about a lot at Adobe and Adobe Stock. We have an entire creative trends program where we can track trends in the marketplace and what brands are doing and how they're interacting with those trends. But content marketing at its core is really about attracting an audience, right? The term inbound marketing is also something that rose in the last, I would say, 10 years. It wasn't even really a thing when I started in marketing, but neither was the term content marketing, right? It's like just took off, about 10 years ago as a buzzword. But to really attract audiences, you have to deeply understand them. And I think content marketing is really intimately tied with the discipline of user research, user experience design, brand strategy. You have to have that holistic viewpoint to really understand your audience and what they want, and to serve them the type of content that they're going to find valuable so that you attract them and so that they engage with you and your brand, or else it's just advertising. Most important KPIs or success metrics, they need to tie back to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And that sounds like a bit of a cop-out answer. It depends. But the fact is, it often does depend. So, whenever I'm looking at a new campaign or a new project and thinking about how to use content to accomplish something, I think about a few things. I think about what stage the viewer or the reader or the user is in their journey, right? Is this, in the awareness? Are they, considering? Is it, are we trying to drive them to purchase? Have they already purchased and we want them to engage and purchase again or come back again? This kind of thing, because that's going to impact the KPIs, and it's going to impact the type of content. We look at who they are, right? Like who they are in relation to our brand or our offering. Do they know who we are? Are they, a passive or an active lead? Are they already a user or a customer? And so, given those things, that'll help you zero in on what you're trying to do. And your KPI or your success metric might be something like, views of the campaign or of the web page or of the video. If we're just trying to drive awareness and we're trying to prove that people are getting to know who we are and what our offering is, views might be a great success metric, right? Like anything else you're putting on the internet. If you're driving folks to a video, then I'm always interested in whether people found it engaging, right? Is it entertaining or interesting or solving their problem? Did they watch it? With some tools, you can tell if someone has watched the whole video or if they've watched, if they've watched a certain portion of the video. So that might be a useful success metric. I'm just throwing a couple of things out there because it really depends on what the content is, what tactics you're using, what you're trying to accomplish. I'll give you an example from Adobe stock. One of the things that I work on is a fund called the Artist Development Fund. And this is an initiative where we have some funding for artists who want to respond to our creative briefs and create essentially commissioned content based on their own unique life experiences to expand diversity of our stock content collection. And so folks come to the website, they apply for funding. Some folks are selected based on their applications and proposals. We work with them, they create commissioned content, they upload it. So, this is really great for the artists because they have a chance to be discovered and seen and funded, supported, and we help them to be successful on our stock platform. This is really great for Adobe, and it's great for the buyers and users of our stock assets because they get access to these new, interesting, exclusive, diverse stock content that is really in demand. And we're working with global artists from all different backgrounds, all different places, all different levels of experience with the stock industry who are really amazing and up and coming creatives, right? Some of them are already very well established in their creative careers, but they haven't, done stock imagery before. So that part is new to them. Anyway, so, one of the success metrics there is, are people downloading the work, right? And that's not just, my team and campaigns that are driving that, but there are all these other campaigns that are pointing to the work. And so I think the bigger the company is, also the harder it can be to really like zero in on a quantitative measure of like, oh, well, I did this landing page campaign or I sent this email and then somebody clicked one button and hit purchase and, good for me, I did it. That's just not how it works, especially in a large company.
Right.
However, you can kind of holistically look and see like, well, we featured this artist over here. We wrote this blog post over there. We featured them in an email campaign over here. Like, are audiences engaging at different points in the journey, and so like we might have multiple pieces of content, multiple campaigns, multiple touches with different audiences, all driving them to a similar place or the same place. And we can see over time, is there a lot of engagement there? I think the fact is a lot of marketing, especially when you get into building a brand or a really large kind of campaign effort, it's very hard to draw a one-to-one connection between all of your activities and a given result. But over time, you get a lot of directional information. And it's up to you as a marketer, as the marketing team, to figure out how to interpret that directional information and how to tell a story that's going to be useful and insightful for other teams around you to use.